Hello and welcome to Desert Island Who, a Doctor Who podcast in which famous faces take their 8 chosen Doctor Who stories to a desert island. And this week we are again greeted by members of the Diddly Dum podcast. And as always, we have my co-host, Conrad.
Hello.
And this week's guest, Rev.
Hello.
So, before we get started, we always like to ask guests a bit about what they do, and obviously we've already got some background on Diddly Dum from Al.
Oh yes.
So, have you got any stories from recordings, interesting things?
Not really. I don't know about interesting stories. I mean, it's just a completely organic thing, and it just keeps evolving. But the three of us seem to have got this amazing little bond that just works, and we purely like to entertain ourselves, but we appear to be entertaining other people as well. So we're quite happy with that. But we're just quite lucky because we're not dissimilar ages, but we're of a slightly dissimilar age whereby sometimes we have different knowledge on different aspects. Or, for instance, the last regular issue of Doctor Who magazine that Al got was the first regular issue that I got. So we sort of fill in each other's gaps, and it's just good fun.
How do you come by the name The Rev?
Oh well, there's many incarnations of the Rev. It goes back to performing in comedy groups and sketch groups, and I was for a while, still am I guess, in a sci-fi rock band called New Magnet. And we went through a steampunk phase when I joined a steampunk military sect and became their chaplain, shall we say, and became the Reverend Captain Hulu Porro. And then it sort of just became the Rev when I started emailing into the Blue Box podcast, which is of course where we all met. And it's sort of stuck there. It's sort of my Time Lord name, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So it is one of many different incarnations from different little acts and productions and bits and bobs I've done over the years in different guises.
All right, that's interesting. So shall we get into this? Crack on with that. Now, your first choice is one that until very recently did not exist in the archives, but only last year has been now found in its entirety.
Yeah. Well, this is Enemy of the World, of course.
But you and this salamander are obviously on opposite sides. That at least is clear. But which side is good? Which side is bad? And why should I interfere?
Now, I must admit I had a few gaps when it came to the early episodes of Doctor Who, and it's through Diddly Dum that I've started watching a lot more of these and really appreciating them for what they are. And I could have chose many of the black and white episodes for many different reasons. For instance, I did consider choosing the Web Planet, which I believe a few guests ago said no one will ever pick that. But I think it's very much that you need to watch them in the context of what's happening at the time with television and what happened before and what happened after. This is an amazing era of discovery when telly was just seen as a sort of little Tamagotchi type fad, a passing, but it wasn't. It was here to stay, and it became an art form. But at this time, it was finding its feet, and you had stage actors, legs akimbo, still performing like stage actors on the screen. But then you had film savvy people and telly savvy people like William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton coming in and sort of awakening this amazing art form. Well, this story in particular, though, I absolutely adored watching it because a lot of people talk about the cheapness of the series in the past, and we'll talk about wobbly sets and badly designed monsters and things. But I'm yet to really see that when I look at these things in context. I just see these amazing, lavish productions, and Enemy of the World's got so many sets in it. What I really love about it, it's like sitting down and watching a drama programme about a dystopian world in the not so distant future, but it just happens to feature the Doctor and the TARDIS crew in it as well. They're like guests in it. They're not really huge characters in it. They're just there. Loads of great stuff's going on. Loads of characters. There's funny dialogue, and it's just really exciting. You got all these Bond bits as well with helicopters and hovercrafts, and absolutely loads happens in it. And it just, I wondered if it was just hidden so that they could pretend that Doctor Who used to be a bit shaky and hokey, and they hope no one would see this because they'd realise what an amazing thing it was. This was on telly. It was as good as a Bond film. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, I've heard
the helicopter sequence was from a Bond film.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yes, it was borrowed, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw this when it was found. I got it on iTunes. I'm a massive Patrick Troughton fan. I think he's one of the best Doctors.
He's amazing.
The best Doctor. And I just think that this is a really good story. Because although it's 6 parts, sometimes 6-parters can go on a bit. It's the pacing. It keeps good pace, doesn't it? It doesn't doesn't just seem boring or padded. There will be padding in it, because there always will be. But I mean, it doesn't feel too padded or anything, and the setting and stuff.
It's easy to forget though as well with a lot of Doctor Who stories. Whenever they're set, whether it be in the 2005 or the 1960s, there's often these little hints and backdrops, which I think I might mention again later on. But you've got all the Cold War and spies and things like that going on. You've got the threat of nuclear war and pushing the buttons, and these kind of futures weren't that far from the imagination at the time for a lot of people. So really clever stuff.
Yeah, and the good thing about this one is, if you watch Doctor Who with your family, they might laugh a bit at someone like the silly monsters, even in stories like Androzani, because you've got the magma beast dragon that is atrocious. But you've got the thing is with Enemy of the World, there is no aliens or monsters. The monster is a human. And he looks exactly like the Doctor. It's such a good idea to have Patrick Troughton play them 2 roles, I think.
It is, and there's a very clever scene in the last episode in the TARDIS where you see them both together, and we don't bat an eyelid at that kind of effect now. You can do it yourself on Photoshop at home, but back then to have seen that, it's just wow, how amazing! I think it must have been great to watch these things at the time. One can only wonder what we're going to get in the future. Hey?
Yeah, because I'm just so glad this one has been found, because no one really regarded it too highly. I didn't know. I knew barely anything about it. No. I knew it had Patrick Troughton was in it twice. That's all I really knew until I saw it when it was found. Because I don't know much about quite a few of the missing ones, and it just sort of makes you think how many more amazing stories that people don't really think of. Could be out there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it, to think? But what a fantastic find. Very good.
So shall we go on to your next choice then?
Yeah.
Your next choice is Jon Pertwee's story. With elements of magic and sort of
demon worship.
Yeah.
All my favourite things to do with an afternoon.
So the next story is the demons.
Yes, I see what you mean. Never mind, we'll soon fix him. Jenkins?
Yeah.
Shut for the wings there. 5 rounds rapid.
Jon Pertwee is not a huge favourite Doctor of mine. I do enjoy some stories. You've mentioned 6-parters. I struggle with them. And, they're too long for me. But then I realise that a lot of the time I'm sitting down and watching them all in one long go. I think it's a 5-parter, isn't it? The Demons, is it?
The Demons are 5.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of stories I could have put here. Demons, Green Death. In the end, the Demons won out because of its content. We're going to a desert island, obviously. So, as many of you guys say, we're picking these because they touch little nerves within us, or they bring back memories, or they bring happiness to us for one reason or another. I'm very interested in 1970s horror, Wicker Man, that kind of thing. I'm very interested in. I grew up in a small town in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and maypole dancing and fairs and that kind of thing were very much the part and parcel of the environment. There was an old ducking pond near school where there was the remains of the I think, did they call them clucking stools, where they used to duck the gossipy women of the village, I think.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's an environment I understand, but and still now, just to prolong Christmas, we do. My friend's got apple trees and he makes cider, and we do wassail them. So we do quite like these pagan rituals, just to prolong the party season. I love it for those reasons. But the other thing that's happening to me at the moment, in that I'm watching all these things as research for Diddley Dum, is that I'm starting to absolutely adore Katie Manning. I think she's an absolutely fabulous companion, Jo Grant. I think she's like she reminds me almost of Matt Smith in that she's on so many different levels. She's down there being daft and giggly and with the kids, and they'll laugh at her. She's quite a cool teenager for that crowd, and then, you know, as she develops, she has interests in the environment, which at the time, again, was a big thing with a lot of the adults. So I think she's just an amazing, well-rounded character, and I just think she's so natural. And she I think, is a brilliant partner for John Pertwee. I think she balances him out fantastically. So that's why I really had to have a John Pertwee one in there, really, for Jo Grant, because I think she's fab.
Yeah. Now, it's something quite embarrassing about the Demons, that when I first watched it, I did actually fall asleep during it. It had nothing to do with how boring it was. I was just like quite tired when I was watching it. Because and I think I might have been ill at the time, because a lot of Pleasant Stories I would like watch DVD when I'm ill, because, you know, nothing better to do about staying in bed. So I think I might have been ill. But so yeah, I did go back around to watching it, and I do enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's a good story.
One of the fun things to do with this, and a lot of stories on locations, is to go on Google Earth when you're watching it and go to the location, and it's really exciting, because where they filmed the Demons hasn't actually changed.
No.
And you can pan around and walk around and sort of follow the action. It's an extra multimedia element. It's great.
Be interesting to go to like the actual locations and see where it's.
Yes, I'd love it. There is a
Devil's End, as it were.
Yeah, there actually is an independent sequel DVD coming out this year about Miss Hawthorne, starring the actress who played Miss Hawthorne, in a trilogy of little witchy stories, which will be very interesting.
Yeah.
I have pre-ordered it because I do love this story.
I don't know. I'm sure what village it actually was filmed in.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know that the church is St Michael's. I remember that.
Oh, it's Aldbourne in Wiltshire.
That's right. Yeah.
I see. It'd be quite interesting if you sort of lived near there, or we're going there on holiday, just to have a look around the locations.
At the end of the episode, where they have got the brig and everybody dancing around the maypole and going for a pint, they have sort of got all the local school kids and residents around the village green as extras. And I always find it funny that the high security unit take the master away in the back of a Land Rover, and all the kids sort of give a really lame boo as he goes off like a panto villain.
It's an interesting fact about the story that I just found out. The incantation that the master says when he summons us all is, "May we had a little lamb," said backwards.
Excellent.
I didn't know, but that's just another interesting.
That again, though, you get these little touches, don't you? Because we're talking about things that are around at the time. So you know. In the early 70s, you had about all these rock songs and songs, if you played them backwards, that bring the devil up. So, you know, you read that in a paper and then you put that as a little joke into the episode. At the time, that's actually happening. That's actually news.
Yeah. So, your next choice is one of my personal favourite stories. I think this one's a very good story, and it's Robots of Death.
Kill the Doctor. Kill the Doctor. Kill the Doctor.
Yes, it is an absolutely fantastic story. So the average hard-working street in Great Britain in 1977, they probably did not know that there was an Art Deco revival going on in design, which sort of got bigger and bigger towards the end of the 70s and into the 80s. heralding in the yuppies and decadence and money, you see. So again, it's to do with the times. But what I like about this, they brought that into the design of the episode, and you see there's a Terence Conran Habitat tea set being used in there. But what they did was they extended this out into the costumes and the makeup and created the fantastic Voc robots. And a lot of the time in classic Doctor Who, you have these departments, makeup, costume, props, set, all working independently from each other, just doing their own take. There was no production designer or production manager like there is these days, keeping everything slick and looking good. This is an example of where it looks fantastic. So you've got this amazing little set going on. But then you've got this fantastic little, quite basic little murder story going in, but it's bringing together Agatha Christie and Isaac Asimov type things, and it's ticking a lot of boxes. And you've got references to unions and things with the mining, which again, news at the time and part of the culture. So that's appealing to the adults. They'll go clever bit of satire. And then for the kids, you've got things like fun with helium in the last episode with Leela's voice going high, and when she throws her knife, it goes boing, and that's funny. So there's something for everyone there to tick a lot of boxes. The other thing about this episode, though, is it's very special to me because we didn't get a video recorder in our house until I was well into sixth form, and I'd gone to our local video store and they were selling off some VHSs, and they had Robots of Death for 50p. So I went and I bought it, and I couldn't really remember it at that point, but I put it on, and sort of just the feelings and the emotions, it woke up inside me. I thought, oh my God, this just reminds me of how I used to feel when I watched Doctor Who, and it's fantastic. The centre of the episode, you've got who I class as my surrogate parents, Dad the Fourth Doctor, who I look up to and respect, and I hang on his every word, and my mum, the beautiful protective Leela, who'd see off any bully who dare come near me with a knife. This is the Doctor Who that my senses remembered, which is, I absolutely adore it, and the music and everything, it just ticks all the boxes. I love it.
I don't think there were many D-class mining robots in East Yorkshire in the 70s, though. So I don't think
they were. No,
I've seen that many of.
No, but I'll tell you one thing that is very recognisable in this episode, and it's probably even more recognisable now with HD TVs and big screens, is that the Voc robots' gloves, when they do close-up shots of them, you'll see a little flower on them because they're marigold washing up gloves that have been sprayed.
I don't know that. That's one of my favourite stories. I just think Tom Baker is on like Fine Four. I mean, like I like stories which sort of you get an idea of like the sort of culture of the planet they land on, where you sort of understand, because there are a lot of stories where you don't really care about the people you land on. It's a bit, because you go into some distant planet, why should we have the audience have any kind of investment there? Yeah. Whereas this is one of the ones where you actually sort of, they have little touches which brings you into it, so you feel like you're part of it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Tom Baker episodes, the best episodes, are like plays. It's like going to the theatre and watching a play because you're in a confined set and there's a minimal cast, and it is very clear who they are and what they represent. And I think that's part of it.
So, should we move on to your next choice there? To
the
Tom Baker one?
Well, yes.
It's one that was chosen before.
Yeah, well, it was. And
Horror of Fang Rock.
Horror of Fang Rock.
Imperative that I reach London before the market opens.
Oh, is that the reason?
Oh!
You want to get to London?
Yes.
You've no chance in this fog.
Again, my beloved parents, Tom and Leela there. I grew up in a working class family of seaside holidays to Scarborough and Whitby, and I lived near several lighthouses, and it was just a quick bike ride for me, and you'd go by the edge of the River Humber at Paul Lighthouse, and with the grey sky behind it. There were great days out and great days. This is like a holiday episode to me. It's dark and spooky and gothic, and it's confined. And this reminds me of the flats we used to stay in Whitby. We stayed in this one flat once, and it was all dark wallpaper and gothic walls. It was like something out of Harry Potter. It was terrifying because I'd have been tiny. But it's this claustrophobia and this cast of characters again. It's a stage play, but on telly. It's like the plays used to get on of an evening. The Routon, I like that because it's like a comic book reference. In comic books, you might be looking through a Marvel comic and you might be reading Spider-Man, and they'll make a comment about something and they'll put a little asterisk next to the comment is made, and it'll say, "See Fantastic Four issue 12." It's like a clever little in-link, and I like the way they've put the Routon in there. I think Terence Ditch just got it. He goes, "Well, I needed a baddie, so I put this one in." And there's so much good stuff in this. I like the seafarer's superstition and all that bit because that's around me where I grew up. There's a certain soft spot for Leela in the oversized fisherman's jumper, but I won't go into that here. And the exciting thing at the end of the episode, of course, everybody dies, which we love.
Yay.
Need death, yes.
A staple of 70s Doctor Who.
Absolutely.
Death on a grand scale.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's something that is lacking in the new series a lot. A grand finale which involves so much death.
Yeah. It might come back. It might still come back. I do know that Stephen Moffat likes this, doesn't he? He's the one who started the Everybody Lives trend. I think that because I believe that Russell T Davies used to think, well, he used to get to a point in a script and think, oh, what shall I do now? I've lost track of it here. What shall I do? Oh, I'll kill someone. And he used to put a death in. It's great. A cartoon, comic-y death, There's nothing wrong with people dying. It's something people should understand. It happens in the real world, and it's just one of those.
Maybe not the hand of the shape-shifting monster in the real world.
No. But I do think that it is lacking in modern Doctor Who. Yeah, it's a bit too friendly sometimes and a bit too PC. But this is the time we live in, and it's selling itself to a different kind of audience and a different set of values and different people. So,
Yeah.
So your next choice is one which is sort of seen as a template as such for modern Doctor Who. And it is Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yes.
Massive internal displacement.
What?
His insides were scrambled. Very nasty.
The effect of the blast?
No. A projected energy weapon.
Projected what?
Death ray?
Very succinct.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to we've jumped from Tom Baker to Sylvester McCoy.
Is there any specific reason for that?
I don't know. Probably subliminally. When I was little on Doctor Who, you just knew about your Doctor. You didn't really comprehend there had been other ones, and you didn't know about the grand history necessarily because there wasn't so much internet or information. So when a regeneration happened, and it was your first one, it was a hell of a shock that your best mate had just died and replaced, and someone else had been there. Now, I have nothing against Peter Davison and Colin Baker, and I stuck with Doctor Who and I watched it, but I seem to think it's a bit of a wound that I had to get over because I did miss Tom. And I don't think it was until Sylvester McCoy that I absolutely started being head over heels in love with Doctor Who again. So I think subliminally it's that, although there are lots of stories I like from both those Doctors. There's none that I'd really take with me in replacement for the ones that I've chosen. But Remembrance of the Daleks is a template. Well, the whole Sylvester McCoy era, in many ways, good and bad, is a template for the current series. Ben Aronovich, or Aronovich, however we like to pronounce it, Andrew Cartmel, Sophie and Sylvester, I think they're a dream team working at the best. I think we were getting closer to almost having a team runner and people who were on the same page. It's a subtle 25th anniversary story. It's not the official 25th one, which was Silver Nemesis, of course, but this one's subtle. It's got little references in it that are clever, that'll make you go, this is like a love letter to Doctor Who fans.
Yeah, but they don't alienate people if you haven't seen them before. I mean, this is
absolutely
one of the first classic stories, but I didn't feel lost.
Yeah. Definitely. They're there for you to go, yes, I like that. That's why the references in the new series that work best are the ones where I go, and other people look at me and think, that must be a reference to it. But it doesn't deter them for what they're enjoying. I think the special weapons Dalek is one of the most fantastic sights seen on TV. And it's a great upgrade of the design in the era of Terminators and Ninja Turtles and the emergence of cyberpunk. They're really doing well here to try and push Doctor Who, and I think they'd have gone a lot further if it had have carried on. But unfortunately, it wasn't loved and it was stopped. But I think it heralds in a new era and direction, and it's a great episode. You could stick it in the middle of the new series, and I don't think anyone would notice. I think it's fantastic.
Would you have preferred it if McCoy had his the season that was planned, the season that never was? Do you think Doctor Who would have been improved if it had continued past 1989?
I'm a strong believer in that things are meant to be. If it hadn't have ended there, then it may not have come back as it is now, bigger and stronger and brighter than before. It may well have gone on for another year, but the BBC may well have still tried to get rid of it. There is a notion these days of resting programs, and I think it did it some good. Of course, I'd have loved to have seen another season of it. I had a paper round at the time, and I remember going to the newspaper shop and I used to pick up my copy of Doctor Who magazine, and before I set off, first thing I did was go to Gallifrey Guardian and see if there was news on the new series, and there would be all these little articles every month about, so-and-so's in bids to take it over, or, it's going to come back as an independent production, or the Doctor Who office is still up and running, don't worry, but nothing ever came of it. But I do remember at the time just, really hoping it would come back. But everything happens for a reason, and, here we are now with it as it is, this amazing, bright, beautiful thing.
And your next choice is actually from McCoy's last season.
Yeah.
It's the Curse of Fenric.
The Wolves of Fenric, descendants of the Viking who first buried the flask, all pawns in my game. Dr. Judson, Commander Millington, the Ancient One, Captain Sorin, and now you.
Me.
Very different story.
Well, it is, because they started to find their feet, because Andrew Cartmel sort of was thrown into the job as script editor in the McCoy era, just as they were picking Sylvester McCoy. They'd had this one other story on the shelf, just because at that point, it might have been cancelled at that point, but they had a story standby, which was Time and the Rani. And he was he was just sort of ticking, had this pile of scripts to go through that were already there. But once that was out of the way, he could start commissioning things himself, and he could start pushing the show in the direction that he wanted. Because I do think that, I know that John Leonteno was the producer, but I do think Andrew Cartmel was a unique and amazing driving force on what we were seeing at this point. And the Curse of Fenric is just... is beautiful. I think it's fantastically directed. I like the darkness. I like the deep companion story. I like some of the shots. I like the bit where they're diving off the cliffs and going in the water. I love the monsters. We've got Nicholas Parsons, who is just so dark and strong as this character. We used to see him as this jovial chap, and there he is doing a real good job. Small coastal town again, so we've got echoes to the Doctor Who of the past. It's a period piece, which, I think the BBC always do period pieces well. I've got a big interest in World War II and that particular era, and I think they do it fantastically. And we've got vampires in it. But yeah, it was really good. It was really good. This was like a really good little movie. Fantastic.
I suppose this one's more sort of Ace's story. You get to find out a lot about Ace. And sort of people, that's one thing people criticise Classic Doctor Who for sort of having companions just there to scream and ask the Doctor questions. But I mean, obviously, there is companions who have got backstories. I mean, Ace is sort of the first modern companion, as it were, because she's got a backstory, a sort of an intrigue, questions
definitely.
about her. Sort of like, I mean, I think Clara is like all new, or bit of a mystery about her. But Ace had a mystery about her.
She did,
You know, how did she get to Ice World? You know, that's...
There was all this sort of, there was like these little underlying story arcs, so they weren't a new thing. They were there, and we had Ghostlight, where they continued the story on. It laid through the series. It was fantastic. It was a great idea, and she is a great character. I think Ace. Unless she's often criticised for being a bit too posh and middle class, whereas she's supposed to be a bit more of a bit more streetwise. But I think that again is just the way the BBC was at the time, and I think that
there wasn't many working actors that would have been up
for
the role, really, especially in like as Doctor Who, sort of facing extinction at that point. They had 2 series left.
But the monsters and the makeup and the stuff in these is fantastic. I mean, again, it stand up fantastically in the modern series.
There's new series monsters that look a lot worse than the He-Mans do.
There are, you're right, yeah. So they were making great steps at the time, but unfortunately it was being shoved into a corner.
Now your next choice is a new series story. We skip past Paul McGann. We skip past Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant.
And we move on to Matt Smith, a story from his first season, Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, I love Matt Smith. I think he's one of the best actors to play the Doctor. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Of course, I was happy when the series came back, and Christopher Eccleston was a great Doctor. But I think looking back, some of the episodes of that first series now, I think we just liked them because we were happy it was back on telly. But there are things like Rose, and things like Father's Day, which I think is fantastic, and things like that. David Tennant, I thought he was great when he came along, but when Matt Smith came along, I realised that I really didn't like David Tennant's characterisation that much. I think Matt Smith just nailed it. Now, Victory of the Daleks, I think, is a bit of a
controversial one.
Yeah, it's overlooked because
a lot of people aren't fans of it.
No, because they're too bothered about other things in it, and they don't enjoy it for what it is. And some of us are lucky now. We've got access to the history of this 50-year program. We can look back and we can see things that might have been better in the past and see things that might be better in the future. But for the core audience, Victory of the Daleks is for a group of little kids, and this is the first time they get to see a sinister Dalek saying, "Would you care for some tea?" Again, the wartime setting done only as the BBC can do it. They actually got a real war room. They went to a real war room. They looked at the actual views Churchill used to observe war-torn London from. The cast, I think the cast are great. The Spitfires dogfighting in space, like 8-year-old George Lucas probably dreamt that. That's where the X-Wings came from. They were based on World War II dogfights, and here they are doing it. That's fantastic. I think my problem is, in 2005, I think Dalek was a fantastic story. It was brilliant. And I think after that, it was very hard to have a believable encounter with the Daleks when they were very easily defeated. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sort of there's no Daleks now. Oh, now there's an army. Oh, no, there's Daleks now. Oh, now there's an army, and then you always knew that they were going to be defeated. That it would.
But this is it. They always knew that they were going to be defeated. But this story, it was a chance for the Daleks to have rebirth again, and they won, which is something you don't see. But what I hated before this was online forums, and Scaremonths got hold of photographs of the new Daleks, and too many people were ready to be upset, and that's what they decided to watch the programme for. You could see them sitting there going, yeah, they'll be coming up, just you watch, and they're missing all this exciting, fantastic period fun. And for me, that was the end of my time reading forums. And do you know what? This is even more controversial. I like the new Daleks.
I don't mind them.
They could be better, but a Dalek is a machine, a tool, nothing more, to quote the battle computer from Remembrance. You know, we don't use shiny brown leather medicine balls in soccer, and we don't play tapes on Walkmans. Things move on and designs move on, and that's clever. The original Dalek, if you look at the components, they're all quite familiar looking to that time period. The shiny plastics and the metals and the grills and those elements, they very much look like parts of the family car, which when you're a little lad is an exciting, enticing machine. And if you look at these new Paradigm Daleks, they've got the same textures and colours as the family car. So it's sort of familiarity but put into a scary shape and a scary way.
I suppose nowadays you've got iPods and iPhones in all sorts of ranges of colours, so yeah, it sort of makes sense to sort of have the Daleks in a range of colours that go down as well as maybe Moffat would have hoped.
I've seen them. I've seen people redo the colour schemes online, and they do actually look good. I think they could look better. I think direction's not great for them on the telly, because I've seen these Daleks at exhibitions and on Doctor Who Live, and they look great. In the comic books they've done, the official BBC ones, Every Good Dalek, and there's another one, isn't there? The way they draw them in that, they're much more imposing, and they look really good in it. I just, I do think it's a shame that people. I think it's a shame that Stephen Moffat obviously took what was being said into consideration, and he's gone back. He's sidelined them a bit. I think change is good, and in some ways, and this is controversial as well, but in many ways, I wish they'd have redesigned them fully in 2005 and just come back with a newer Dalek.
Your next choice is controversial.
Oh yes.
Not. I was just going to say, not just for the audience, but for one of our hosts, Conrad. This is a story which he has described as hating with great venom, and it is The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Lily and Cyril's room. I'm going to be honest. Masterpiece. The ultimate bedroom. A sciencey, buoyancy workbench. A jungle. A maze. A window disguised as a mirror. A mirror disguised as a window.
Now, do you think you could convert Conrad?
No, because I honestly don't. I don't want to convert him, because I've been asked on shows in the past to stand up for episodes that I like and others don't. My thing is, if I'm getting enjoyment and happiness out of it, then that's great. If someone else can't get that happiness, then that's their problem. Do you know what? I don't like the episode Midnight, but loads of people seem to. They're getting enjoyment out of that. Good for them. So I think it's each to their own, and that's one of the things that makes Doctor Who so great. But we're on this island, and I want episodes that make me feel happy and good. So for me, this is work's finished for Christmas, computer switched off, lights turned off, and we've knocked off early. You've gone home in the cold, hot buttered toast for tea, bit of fruity dark ale comes out by the fire, and what we're going to do the next day off work. So a couple of days shy of Christmas Eve, what we're going to do. This is what I do. Train set comes out, friends come round. We drink whiskey and ginger, glasses of sherry come out, ale flows, chocolates, cheeses, nibbles come out. Films and DVDs, Muppets Christmas Carol, Labyrinth, Stardust, Spirited Away, The Good Life Christmas specials, Afternoon, black and white films, Norman Wisdom, Carry On Constable, might be a good war film on. For me, this is a standalone Christmas special. It's removed from Doctor Who, but features Doctor Who. It's a happy family Disney movie. It's fast and furious fun. There's a fairy tale plot. There's sad bits. It's got a Lancaster bomber in it. There's fun cameos. People forgetting there's that big walking machine in Doctor Who. This is the telly programme where you used to laugh at the lava monster. You've got a big walking thing like something out of RoboCop in it now. Enjoy that. Hello, it's on Doctor Who. It's amazing. The Doctor is never referred to the Doctor. He's the caretaker. It's a one-off. It could be shown anywhere to anyone, not necessarily anyone who's got any knowledge of Doctor Who. I think it's the most universally accessible chunk of Doctor Who ever, and it makes me sob. And it's a Christmas special. It's the Christmas special, the only Doctor Who Christmas special I would want to watch every year. I think it's fantastic. And if you want misery and darkness on Christmas Day, watch EastEnders. This is great.
So you don't think the story could be seen as being too wrapped up in its own Christmasiness to forget about the plot? Do you think that the nostalgia of Christmas is more important in a Christmas special than the actual metallic workings of a plot?
For this episode, yes, I think it is. It's a very simple, basic plot. It's about family, it's about love, it's about a very basic, simple journey. And there's lots of fantastic visuals along the way. Something like Christmas Invasion, what's that? It's just another invasion story, and they whack a couple of Santa Clauses and a Christmas tree in it. No, I can't be doing with that. This is proper Christmas. You can sit and be drunk to this and full of chocolate, and I'm happy. I don't want in depth on Christmas Day. I enjoyed the Christmas Carol one, but I enjoyed watching it after Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, on the sofa, it was a bit too in depth, really. This is the kind of thing I like at Christmas, just basic, easy, fun.
Yeah, I mean, this story I probably would say is my least favourite that I've seen out of all the ones. And I think the reasons you like it are a lot of the reasons why I don't. Because, I'm a bit of I'm not much of a sentimentalist, really. I prefer, a
plot,
yeah. Rather than, I don't think I like really any of the Christmas specials at all. I mean, I don't mind Christmas Invasion. I don't mind Christmas Carol, but I was just not sure Doctor Who and Christmas. As much as Moffat tries to say they work together so well, I would disagree with that. I think Christmas is something separate.
I remember,
despite growing up with Christmas specials, there's Doctor Who.
Well, you see, that's another thing. You see, I didn't, and when they announced there was going to be a Doctor Who Christmas special, the Christmas Invasion, it was like, what? Oh my God, this never happened. And Christmas Day is about Del Boy and Morecambe and Wise and the EastEnders Christmas special. It's about big programs. Where must be a big program? And I remember watching it, and that was the Christmas where I got my first radio-controlled Dalek, and I remember playing with it. I think Toy Story was on, and then Doctor Who was going to be on. And I remember as Doctor Who, I think this has never been on before, this episode of Doctor Who, and it's on Christmas Day. I just couldn't believe it. It was absolutely amazing.
So it's Feast to Stephen.
No, yes, and a happy Christmas to all of you at home. The strange thing is, when I was thinking through, because I knew, I always know that people don't enjoy this one that much and think it's strange when I say that I love it. I was thinking about the other Christmas specials and which ones I actually do. Do I like any of them more than this? And I don't. But I did quite surprised that my second favourite was the Next Doctor, which is again one that a lot of people don't like, and the reasons I like it are things like the Cyber King. I think it's a fantastic site, and you just to see these amazing big special effects in a Doctor Who, I think it's still jaw-droppingly fantastic to see the little programme that I used to watch when I was little, with bubble wrap and cardboard tunes and things in it. Now looking like this is absolutely sensational.
It doesn't have the same effect on me, Will, as well, because that's all we've really known.
No, but your time will come. You see, everything dates and ages, and things change, and there'll be something new along one that'll blow your mind. I remember the first time, I call it the Jurassic Park moment. If I see something and it blows me away, it reminds me that when I went to see Jurassic Park, which is the first time we saw CG animals and creatures and things in a film, and that was jaw-dropping. And every now and again it happens. It happened with the last Planet of the Apes film. I thought that was something different. And every now and again something comes along that just blows stuff out of the water, effect-wise, and it'll happen to you, and you'll love it. You enjoy it. It's great.
So moving on from the one we've had split opinions on.
Yeah.
You also get to take a book to the island.
Yeah.
And
well,
you have chosen Script Doctor by Andrew Cartmel.
Well, the main reason I'm taking this book, if I've got to go to a desert island, is that I'm reading it at the moment. So I'd quite like to finish it. I bought it a couple of weeks ago at the Doctor Who convention where I met Andrew Cartmel, and I've already bigged up how much I love the Sylvester McCoy era and what he did with it. So I was interested to read this book, and I got his book, and he signed it for me, which was very nice. And I'm reading it, and the interesting thing, it's like there was no making of Doctor Who. There's no Doctor Who Confidential or DVD extras back then. And, like I said, we didn't have a video, so, I got to watch Doctor Who once, and that's it. It's what I could draw down in my sketchbook or remember afterwards is what you got. This is like an out-of-body experience. It's like I'm sort of watching this floating above it, what's happening in this book, whilst the episodes are on telly. And and the way he puts it, it's like, we talk about Doctor Who being pushed aside by the BBC at the time. Well, you get that in this book from his meetings and things, and he's in this horrible cold office, and it couldn't be any less glamorous than you'd imagine working on Doctor Who would be. And it is. It's fascinating. It's interesting. I feel like I'm there. I'm enjoying it so far. So I better enjoy the rest of it if I'm stuck on this island with it, haven't I? Because I ain't got another one.
Yeah, you got another one to get the rest of it. Well, nothing good here. Well, I'm sure you will enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
enjoyed it so far. And you also get to choose another piece of merchandise.
Yeah, well, no, this is an audio version of a book, which is Tom Baker's autobiography. Who on earth is Tom Baker? And the shocking thing was, when I put this down, is I love it. I love Tom Baker. He's my doctor. He's amazing. He's a wonderful man. And I got the audio book I had's on a tape, and I bought it when tapes were on the way out. I think that's the only reason I bought the audio version. I had the book, and I saw the audio one in Asda for 50p. I thought, I'll have that. And then I thought, I ain't got a Walkman. I'd better get a Walkman. And I got a Walkman from a car boot sale. And I remember walking around the grounds of a local stately home, just having a wander, listening to it. And do you know what? It wasn't until I looked today. This was published in 1997, this book. And I actually don't think I've read or listened to it since then. But it actually rings in my head like I read it yesterday, because Tom Baker is just so amazing in the way he paints pictures. It's like a cross between a Tim Burton film and Tyrion Lannister. You've got amazing quotes, amazing wording, and it's just he builds up this picture of a dark, poverty-stricken and religious past in post-war Britain. He's got this such eloquent talking voice, hasn't he? But he grew up as a little working-class Scouser, and when he goes into his natural Liverpudlian accent, it's something to behold. And the characters in this book appear in one sentence, but he's actually, you can see he's got his story, and he says, I want to tell this story, and then he'll rewrite it so that he has these little words. So he'll describe characters like across the road from us lived a salesman with a glass eye who won a suitcase in the church raffle. On the Friday, he filled his suitcase and left his wife. We never saw him again. There was an old docker who shaved once a week, and his nephew who shaved every day and joined the RAF. You actually start believing in these characters. If they ever made this as a film, it's got to be an animation or have cutaways with puppets, or it's got to be mad. And it's got these lines in it as well that, he's naughty at school, and there's a bit where he gets blamed for breaking wind in class, and the teacher says to him, "Get behind the blackboard, Barabbas." And then there's another one where he says he longed to be an orphan because his orphans at the time, World War II, was sent presents from the American soldiers that send them comics and caps and stickers and baseball jackets and stuff. And he said it was his ambition to be an orphan, so his teacher had said, "So you want to murder your parents, do you?" Yes, miss. Well, you go to Father Barry and you ask for forgiveness. And he goes, and I went to Father Barry and he forgave me. He leaves all these little interludes and places for your mind to go. This is such a good story. Tom Baker is a brilliant storyteller. Now, you can go on YouTube, you can actually listen to this. Other sites are available, I should think, but someone's put it on YouTube and you can listen to him speaking. And if you're looking for that, you should look out for things like Tom Baker's This Is Your Life and his appearances on Have I Got News For You, because there's a reason why this man is so stapled into people's mind as the default Doctor Who, and quite rightly so.
No, I saw him on a Volunteers for You. I remember hearing, it's going to be Tom Baker this week. Made sure to watch it. Yeah, even he's brought out his little action figure and then
yes,
Doctor Who references and stuff. It's great. And another episode where we end on our love for Tom Baker.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's becoming a theme.
Yeah,
well,
I think it is.
Yeah, he's a great man.
So, coming to the end now.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Rev.
It's been lovely. It's a lovely island.
Yeah. It is. Fair enough.
And we'll also be having Doc from the Diddly Dum podcast on.
Yes.
And we are going to appear on Diddly Dum podcast.
Indeed, we are.
That's going to be exciting.
Well, I don't know when this will be going out. We might have already appeared on it by
that was
the time.
That was exciting.
Well, the time it's going out, but
I enjoyed that.
the links will be up on the website for our for that whenever it happens. Well, we know when it's happened, but whenever, if this is before or after. So
timey-wimey.
Yep. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next recording.
Wow.